Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Talk number 60 for Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. I am your host, Chanelle Allen, and I'd love to welcome you. Glad you're joining us now or later on via the recording. Talk is an open forum Q&A conference call for anyone with Mac questions, whether you are considering the purchase of one or just want to know more about it, or maybe you have a Mac but need some encouragement and help getting to learn VoiceOver, or you could be a longtime user with a question about an app or feature. And so we're glad you are here. I'll just briefly let you know how you can find iBug on the web and social media because we have a lot going on. On the web, we can be found at ibugtoday.org. There you can register to become a member. Registration is free, membership is free, participation in any and all of our training and social events is free. By registering, you get placed on our email list and will be notified of upcoming events. On the iBug page, you'll also find a link for Talk, where you can get instructions on subscribing to the Talk email list, learn about the Mac course, and listen to previous recordings of our calls. On social media, we are at facebook.com/groups/iBugToday. That's a great place to ask questions in between sessions and share other helpful, pertinent information. On Twitter, X, and Instagram, we are at iBug Today. Our Twitter master, Herbie Allen, posts lots of relevant Apple news, Mac how-tos, tech deals, and more. And we are on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com and search for iBug Today, you will find various playlists with our different calls, and there is a playlist for the iBug Mac training course. If you prefer to listen to podcasts, you can also ask your favorite smart speaker or go into your preferred podcast app and look for iBug Buzz, iBug Macintalk, iBug Apple Workshop, and iBug Cafe. Speaking of those podcast titles, we have a few events coming up this week. We're drawing to the close of the month, but there are still things that keep us busy. On Thursday, it's iBug's Life. You can join from 7 to 9 p.m. Central. All times are Central, and all events are at the same Zoom link. So you've come here, you can come to anything else. The topic for It's iBug's Life will be Let's Get Physical, talking about keeping fit and doing exercises at home. And then on Friday, iBug Night at the Virtual Movies begins at 7:15 with our pre-movie social. Lots of fun. Then the movie at 8, which is High Fidelity. And after that, there's a Q&A, or not a Q&A, a kind of a discussion and talk. And on Saturday, July 27th, from 2 to 4 p.m., our iBug Apple Workshop, where we get to discuss all the latest and greatest Apple news. And our members give really awesome demos of apps that they find useful. That is it for this week. I feel like there might be something else I'm forgetting, but somebody will let me know. And now we get to move on to the part of the call where you introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're calling from, and if this is your first time joining Macintalk. And I'm Chanelle Allen. I am in Houston.
This is Pete. Chanelle,
Welcome,
can I
Pete.
talk? Can I mention an upcoming event?
Yeah, love. I knew you probably would want to. Go ahead.
Yeah, on August 3rd, which is a Saturday, the first Saturday in August from 8 until 10 Central, we will be presenting our iBugs Got Talent showcase, where we have recorded talent presentations from various iBug members. We have 2 dozen entries, so it's going to be chock full of great music and other types of entertainment. In fact, we have a couple of participants on our call with us tonight. So if you want to
Awesome.
hear it, set that on your calendar. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds really great. Yeah. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Hey, well,
And who?
this is Brad, and I'm in
Hi, Brad.
Dallas. And I'd
Welcome.
like
This
to
is
point
Herbie
out
in
that if
Houston.
this is episode number 60, that means 5 years of Mac and Talk.
Wow.
Seems like just yesterday.
Yeah.
I know. It does. It really, yeah,
Brad
that's
wasn't
right.
even with us for the first ones.
No.
Maybe, well, I took the Mac class in the fall of 2019,
Mac and
so
Talk
maybe I
predates the Mac
was.
class.
Oh, well, not by much, because I was stuck in the fall. Maybe I got there right
You came
after.
to Mac and Talk and then you joined the class. That's right.
Yeah, I guess
So,
that's it, because I took the class, but I had already signed
yeah.
up for it in the summer. So,
Yep.
Well,
Awesome.
congratulations,
Thank
Chanel.
you.
So
yeah,
happy
see
anniversary.
if we could do another 60 episodes without
Yeah.
going crazy.
All right. Let's do it. Who else do we have?
Yeah, you got Brian from Ontario.
Hi, Brian. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Karen from Texas.
Hi, Karen. Glad to
Hello.
have you.
Thank you.
Dan, Southern California.
Hi, Dan. Glad to have you too. All right.
Elisa and Porter.
Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
And I see that we have Gail here. Welcome, Gail. And Rosetta is here as well. So we're glad everyone is able to make it. And let's get started with questions. Does anyone have a Mac question? Any and all questions welcome. Well, every now and then I'm reminded about a feature that I find really useful on my Mac. It's time for me to start sending out applications for an announcements because we're letting people on our waiting list know that the Mac class is starting soon. And I knew I was going to be, I wanted them to go out today. I knew I was going to be busy this morning. So I used the handy little feature in Mail called Send Later and scheduled them to send out today at 7 a.m. And it's a little bit
Cool.
cumbersome. You have to go into the toolbar and it's not that, it's what I mean by cumbersome is there's not a keyboard command to specifically bring up send later. You have to go into the toolbar when you're in a message, composing a new message, and it has some times in there, but you have to, if you want to choose a more specific time, you have to go to send later. And there's a typical kind of several little boxes for choosing the date and the time and whatever. It works really well. You do have to, your Mac does have to be on and online, but mine is typically on most of the time anyway. So it was just a great way to get a bunch of stuff ready in advance and send it off and not have to worry about it on the day of. So I could get up early and enjoy my book with my friend instead. So there you go. That's Send Later on the Mac. We've talked about it before, and I believe we have Send Later on our iPhone. And
Yeah.
Send Later is going to be available for texting or for messages as well. So,
Cool.
Since Brad, I use
yeah,
it a lot
Brad.
too. I use it a lot too. I have a couple of announcements scheduled to go out tonight at 8 p.m.
Ah,
Central.
okay.
Remind everybody of a certain event that happens tomorrow night at
Yes,
7
that's
p.m.
right.
Eastern. That way I set them up days in advance, and then I find them in my inbox as I'm on the list that receipt, and I go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Glad I set it up in advance.
Yeah. Oh,
And I got another one that's set to go Friday evening for something that
yeah.
happened Saturday. So it's
Yeah,
very nice. It's very
it
nice.
is. You've got a
You should
lot
have
of
some.
events that you have to manage.
I do, and I've been using that more because each of them usually goes to three different lists or sometimes only two. But yeah, it's very nice. It's a little quirky. I've learned some things.
Yeah.
For example, uh, I've learned to do it in reverse. Set the minutes, then the hour, then the date. Because
Oh, that's the trick.
if I set the date, like the other night, I was doing this at 11 o'clock at night. So if I set I hadn't set the date, but I set actually, I need to set the date first. That's it. Because if I want them to go off at 8 p.m. and it's on the current date and it won't let me set it before the current time. And I
Right.
went, oh, I got to do the date. But then I've learned to go do the minutes because if I pass, top of the hour, 00 minutes, it will change the hour. So,
Yeah, that's why it
depending
was
upon where
changing
I
it.
am, and so I've learned to, but usually, see, I was doing it. It was like 22:50 something. So when I go to zero, it changes it to 23. So don't
Sounds like
change the
cumbersome
hour.
was a good word, Chanel.
Yeah, don't change the hour yet because if it's at the minutes and you're before the top of the hour, when you change it to 00, it's going to move the hour ahead one. Or,
Right.
but if you're at five after and you go back to zero, you're okay. But just
Okay.
little things
Yeah.
I've learned from doing it.
Pete
And I
with a
didn't quite
question.
catch what you said, Pete, a minute
Oh,
ago.
I was saying that you used the word cumbersome, and that seems like it might have been the right word
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
we
all
just
the
got to
stuff
pay
Brad
attention
went
to
through.
it.
you
Yeah.
Once you
do.
get used to it, it's
I'm
got some
wondering,
little idiosyncrasies to it, but
Yeah,
once you figure them out, it makes sense.
it
So,
does.
I've got my Mac Mini, and I usually just put it to sleep when I'm not using it. Would that suffice for it to go out when
it
it's
will
asleep?
go out as long as it's on. And usually you have, what is it? What the hell's it called? Nap or something. Um, Apps will wake up when they need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good.
my desktop Mac Studio is on, 24 hours a day unless like I go out of town. I went to ACB convention. I was gone for 9 days. I did turn it off then,
Good thinking.
but but other than that, that machine's on all the time.
Yeah,
So
mine too.
another way to do that, if you need to do it, you could always save the item to your drafts folder and then open it on your iPhone from the drafts folder and
Mm-hmm.
set it up to send because your iPhone's never off.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
unless
right.
you're unless you're on an airplane and then you've got airplane mode or
Airplane
something
mode.
turned,
Yeah.
but yeah, so you can always do that,
And why would that
but
be easier or just oh,
well,
so because it would send because your iPhone's always
you
on.
want it to be make sure that the device you set it up to send later
Right.
is on when it's time to send.
Right.
So if I were
Yeah,
to
mine
set it up
definitely
on my
was. Yeah.
MacBook Pro and then for whatever reason I
You
take my
had to
MacBook
turn it
Pro with
off.
me someplace, I've closed the top.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's asleep, but I don't think it's going to wake up unless I lift the top. But that one works different. But I know the Mac Studio is always on. But what if I wanted to, I could save it in drafts and then open it from the drafts on the iPhone, set it up to send later from the iPhone. If you,
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, because they're all set up to mail account is in IMAP, so the drafts folder is accessible from. I can get to it, I should say, from other devices that have that same mail account set up. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a pretty neat feature.
Definitely. All right. Well, now that we've talked about how I've used my Mac recently, aside from everything else, does anyone have a question?
Yeah, this is Gail.
Yeah. Hi, Gail.
Hi, sorry I couldn't unmute earlier. My dog
That's
was barking.
okay. No
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, I do. I have a couple questions. I was trying to well, actually work just some work with a couple people, and well, first they had Word, and So, and I don't have Word on my, on the Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I have some questions on, one, I know like I can't I can't do it in text. Obviously, I can't do it in text edit. And two, um, pages I know doesn't always um, I'm trouble with pages trying to convert it. Then I tried writing something, just writing in notes, which when I'm trying to format, that doesn't work. So I'm wondering, should I just buy Word? Um, mm, and put it on the Mac, or should I buy 365, or what do you guys do in a case like that when you're trying to edit something and you're sending it back and forth to people that only have Word?
This is
Or
Brad.
should,
All
okay.
right. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, text edit will work in and save to a Microsoft Word DOC or DOCX. The only place you might run into some problems are if somebody's using a font that isn't available in text edit or is using some other formatting feature in Word that doesn't work in text edit. But if it's just a simple basic document, yes, you can open a Word document and save it in the same format you opened it in. But as to your question about Microsoft Word, I believe you can either purchase a static, what I call static, mean, you purchase it, you install it on your machine, a version of Microsoft Office. I believe the current one is Office 2021, but I think the best way to go is Microsoft 365, especially if you have more than one device. Somebody told me it's not available for 69.99 a year for one device anymore. I don't know that that's true or not. I haven't looked. I pay for 5 devices, $99 a year, because I have 2 Macs and a Windows machine, plus I install it on my wife's Mac. And so I'm using it on 4 devices. I think I can use it on up to 6. I think it's myself plus 5 others, or was it a total of 5? It may have changed since I've had it. But the nice thing about that is you get the updates and they're frequent. And it keeps you using the most recent version of Word or Excel or PowerPoint. And it also includes Outlook, which I don't use because I like the Mac Mail app. But and it's got OneNote, which I've never figured out what I want to do with that. And I believe, and you also get 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage. And I believe by using my Office, well, now they call it Microsoft 365 and OneDrive, I believe you can collaborate. And I don't know if that means you're on the document at the same time somebody else is on it, like Google Docs, and you see, your screen reader tells you when the other person is doing something. I mean, that's the best way to collaborate, but Google Docs has its own issues. But yes, and answer your question, you can get Office Microsoft 365 for a Mac, and it's not bad. It's a little strange, but once you get used to it, it's okay.
Is there a
Definitely.
is there a learning curve of the scale? Is there a learning curve to it?
The only thing I would say that's different is if you're familiar with it on Windows, you will find that some of the keyboard commands. Well, first of all, it's a Mac. There's this interacting thing, which is a little it's not as smooth as it is when you're using Pages, which is a Mac native Mac app. Uh, but you can interact, and I've used it before. Um, I took a certification class through Cal State University once, and they required everything be turned in MS Word, which is fine. That's what I prefer to work in. But yes, I did all my assignments and turned in, long papers and things that I did on my Mac using Microsoft Word. I got used to it. Um, Like I
This is
said, it's not
Herbie.
the same as Windows, but it's not bad. The keyboard commands are different, and you'll learn them. At least you got the menu bar where you can look them up, and they're similar to the ones on Windows, but sometimes you use the command key instead of the control key and things like that. Go ahead, Herbie.
Go ahead, Herbie. Yep.
So first of all, I would just argue that it being Microsoft Word, no matter which platform you use it on, there's a learning curve.
True.
And for different reasons. Because the Windows side, you have that ribbon. And there are some features that you might need that are buried in the ribbon that you have to figure out where they're at, and some things that are findable in the menus. The Mac is no different, other than the fact that you don't have to deal with the ribbon, and it's a lot easier to navigate. And that was one aspect of Word I found much easier on the Mac, was dealing with ribbon-related items. But I'm comfortable with interacting and uninteracting too, and that that is a factor.
There
I also
still is a
found
rib. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
there's still the ribbon, but it's a lot easier to. I thought it was. I found it more accessible to
Yes,
navigate on the
definitely.
Mac.
Definitely.
This is Brad. I have found I never ever have to use the ribbon because everything that's in the ribbon is in one of the pull down menus. And I would
There was
much
something
rather.
that I had to set for one of my assignments to do with, like, I think it was margins or something like that that I had to do in the ribbon.
I think that's in the ribbon in the file menu under page setup. It will bring up the good old fashioned page setup dialog box.
Well, that's where again, let's say there's a learning curve with Word. No
Yeah.
matter, because I would have made the mistake on either system.
But
I find also spell check is a little bit easier on the Mac, with navigating the different things through it. But where there's a learn again, it's the spell check is a lot more comprehensive, and you can set it to do different things and not do different things. I found footnotes a lot easier to read on the Mac, so if you have to deal with that. But otherwise, I mean, with Microsoft Word, there's going to be a learning curve anyway. There are some things with proofing and stuff that might work better, like if you were on a Windows machine. But I don't know. Overall, I still prefer it on the Mac.
this is Brad. The main learning curve I was thinking about was if you're familiar with it on Windows as I am, because I had to teach it for years. So I was really good with the basics, but the advanced stuff, that's a whole nother story. But the learning curve I'm thinking about really has to do with that the keyboard commands from using it on Windows are some of them are the same, only you're using the command key instead of the control, and some of them are just different for some reason or another. But again, you will find most of them in the pull down menus for most of the things you're going to use. It will always tell you what the command is, and then if you don't know, there is a good help utility built in, and you can always bring up a list of keyboard. One time I printed out on Windows, and it was like 20 pages long in really
I
small
know.
print of all the keyboard. There is stuff that you can do with keyboard commands in Words. And this is back when I could still see a little bit. And I'm telling you, it was smaller print than is in the telephone book. And it was like 20 pages worth. There's no way to even try to learn all those.
I
But
didn't know about the size of the print, but yes, I found that same article. There are tons of
yeah,
commands.
yeah,
It's crazy. Yeah.
it was unbelievable. The same thing with Excel. And all the Office have just tons of
And you
keyboard
can even
commands.
define your own keyboard commands, I think, in the
I think
Office
you
products on
can.
the Mac. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't always do that in Windows.
But yes, the answer is yes. There is There is Microsoft Office 365 for the Mac.
So there you
Very
go,
good.
Gail.
What, Pete?
Plenty. I'm just saying, there you go, Gail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
Be
that
careful
answer
what you
your
ask.
question?
You get
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Can I ask one more question, or I guess you want to
Let's see
get
if
back
we
to
have
me? All
any
right.
others, and
Okay.
we'll.
All right. I'll just wait till later. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Who would like to ask our next question? Welcome to the people who have joined us recently. Marcy, Robert, Stamatis, John. Welcome, everyone.
This is Robert. Can I ask a brief question?
Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Okay, I have an older Mac.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it updates the latest. It's vintage 2013. So if I want, there seems to be some accessibility things that don't seem to work on my Mac that I've heard work on others. One of the problems I'm having is I'm having trouble having the screen reader read PDF files.
Okay.
This is Brad.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
PDFs can be tricky even on the newest Mac running the newest version of the software.
Oh,
It depends on how the PDF is originated. Oftentimes they are scanned image. If they are, no Mac is really going to read those because it's a picture. You know,
yes. Okay, I understand.
if somebody slapped it on the copy machine at work and made a copy and told it to, email it to themselves as a PDF, well, that's a picture. It's not, you
Wow.
know. But
Okay.
if somebody makes a document in, say, Microsoft Word or Pages, for example, and says, export as PDF, that is going to be accessible. You want it on your Mac, you use the Preview app, and I think it works better than Adobe on the Mac.
Okay. Okay. All right. So if it's not reading, it's probably scanned, and then if
Maybe.
maybe, and I can try the preview app. Okay. Thank you. You're putting me in the right direction. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Glad to help. And don't hesitate to ask if you have any other questions.
This is Brad. I think your 2013 Mac is probably still a very usable device. It's not on, I can't remember how far forward it goes, maybe Catalina, but that's still not bad.
Okay. Well, it still works for me most of the time.
Yeah.
And now that you mention it that way, about the PDF and being a scan, that makes sense, and that's what. Because I was wondering, is sometimes I get it to work and sometimes I don't. Now I can kind of identify that, so that's good to know.
Great. All right. Who has our next question?
Pete,
Yes, Pete.
in using the Messages app on the Mac, how does one do the equivalent of the reaction on the phone with the like or the thumbs up,
Ah,
thumbs down,
okay. Who would like to answer that?
and to delete a message? I
We
haven't
have
figured that
Herbie
one.
racing to his computer, so just give him a sec.
Good.
There you go. Because Herbie's the
But I also
messages
have a former
master.
student that took our lecture on messages. I'd love to see if she could answer the question personally.
Aha.
Marcy, are you able to answer Pete's question? Sorry for putting you on the spot, but
You love it.
Maybe
I'm
she's
waiting,
just
Marcy.
listening.
Marcy's not on duty.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, then I think I just might have to cry. All right. Well, so to answer your question, Pete,
Yes.
both are possible. So to like a message, what you do is when you go, you can find the message that you want, that
Right.
message collection,
Yeah.
and then you do your actions rotor with VO command space. And then you VO down, and one of the options there is reactions. You VO space on that, and then you find the reaction you want and VO space.
Cool.
You
Thank
have
you.
to be in the specific conversation, though, on the message.
Well, yeah, but you do on the phone for that matter too.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
trying to give everybody the full
Good.
details,
Thank
but
you.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then what about deleting, Herbie?
So deleting, that's where you do that from your conversations list, not from the message, unless
Oh,
you're
okay.
deleting an individual message.
Right.
So in the conversation, you just select the conversation that you want, then bring up your shortcuts menu
Right.
with VO Shift M and go
M,
down to
right.
delete.
Good.
And then it'll
I
give you a
forgot.
confirmation.
I forgot both of those menus. Thank you, Herbie.
Pete, you're a former
I know.
student. You're making me,
I
you're breaking my
know.
heart.
A
I
memory
thought
is
I
a
taught
terrible
you
thing
well.
to waste. That's right.
Well, we're here to review. We all need review.
That's right.
We all
But I,
learn some
I, I, I
things.
hammered it. I know I hammered these menus into your head so you would, you know.
I know, but we without the continual hammering, we don't we forget, or it's like, oh, I learned that somewhere. That's
Well, that's
right.
good to know.
Yeah,
So
I
next
knew.
class, you're gonna get a constant hammering every morning. I'm gonna call you up and remind you about those three menus. I want you to remember the VO actions one. I mean that one you deal with a little bit less, but I
Yeah,
know I talked about that in the context of like the notification center. So
exactly. Yep,
that one I can understand. But the shortcuts, what used to be known as the context menu,
exactly.
Oh, it's
remember.
always been
So
known as the shortcut menu.
Either
It
one,
is
yes,
it
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 so
it,
is.
guys,
it
Our
so
is
Brad
it
is our
is a context
historian.
menu, but Apple
so
calls it the shortcut menu.
Right.
all right.
Just to be
So
contrary.
I'm gonna hammer this again into everybody's heads because these are so crucial with the Mac. Your menu commands. VOM is your menu bar.
Right.
VOMM is your menu extras. That's where you're gonna find
Extras.
things like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and all that. And then the shortcuts slash context menu, VO Shift M, that is going to be, that'll sometimes bring up a list of actions within something that you have selected. And
It
that's
is
just a short.
contextual because it will show
Yep.
you things that can be done to the item that has focus
Yep.
in different, and it's different because different things in different circumstances. And most of those
And
things can be found somewhere else, like in the menu bar
yep.
under one of the various menus, but not all. Sometimes they're stuff that
That's right.
aren't there. There's some.
And the actions menu, Herbie?
The actions menu is a bit more of an interesting one. You're not going to use it everywhere, but I use it in notifications and in messages. And that's where there's some actions that you can perform on an item. So like in the notification center, you can select or clear a notification. In messages, there's several things in there like reacting, copying a message, things like that. So
And the keystroke for that
it's
is again
VO command space.
VO command
And the
space.
actions menu has really been around a long time, but they made some changes in some things in Big Sur, which was Mac OS 11. For like when Herbie's talking about notifications, we used to be able to put focus on a notification, interact with it, and there might be a button that says cancel, but they did something with macOS Big Sur that even when you interact with the message and the notification and read what it says, you can't really access those buttons like we used to. And that's when I learned, oh, actions menu. Oh, it's been here all along. I just never had to use it before. And now I find I use it for lots of things that I never had to before. And it's very useful.
Definitely. All right, good review on that. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Gail.
Yeah, Gail, go ahead.
Okay. I want to go back to if because formatting and I had a question on because I'd have to learn obviously on the Mac with the Word and all that with Word on the ribbon or you said the files and the did you say Brad the page setup?
Yes, it's in the file menu down towards the bottom.
Okay, I also had a question. Would would pages be easier to use? And also, I noticed that if you write something on pages, and then I may be doing it wrong though. Try to send it with someone to Word, it doesn't always transfer, but could be me.
You need to export it as a Word
Export it.
file. Just like you would
Export.
export a PDF,
Uh-huh.
you export it to a Word format, DOC, or maybe it just says DOCX. You don't really use Pages, so I'm not sure. I've used it. It's a nice app, but because I choose to work in Microsoft Word format, like 99.9% of the world, that's why I just don't use Pages much. But
Okay. Yeah.
but you have to export it. And some things can happen if you're using a font that doesn't translate to a font that's available in Word. It may pick something. If you've done track changes can get messed up. And I don't know about footnotes, but certain things like that may have weird things happen to them. If it's just a plain doc without fancy stuff in it, it's probably going to translate, or export would be the right word, but it translates to Word format. It's probably going to do that just fine. And then when somebody sends you a Word document, you can open it in Pages, and it gets converted to a dot pages format document.
Okay. Do you think that I should not try to learn Pages and just go by the
Well, see,
365?
do what's
And learn-
good for you. Do what's good for you. I mean, I like Word. I've always used Word on Windows. Well, once upon a time, I used Word Perfect, but that's another lifetime ago. Because I had to start teaching Word and Excel and stuff like that. I had to learn it. And that was 20 years ago. But more than that, actually, come to think of it. But anyway, so I was familiar with it. And when I got a Mac, where Microsoft Office, it existed for the Mac, but it wasn't voiceover accessible. I could access the menus, the ribbon, all that stuff, but when it went into the document area, it was like going into a dark hole. Voiceover, there was no accessibility in there. And then around 2016, when they came out with what they called Office 365, I don't know, they made accessibility on the Mac work, and that's when I got it. And I've been using it on the Mac ever since. Took me a while to get the hang of Excel, and I'm still working on that one. Spreadsheets are the one thing I just have not really grasped on the Mac, but that's because of I haven't spent the time to learn. They can be done. Usually, I just have to do something, and I don't have time to fool with it. So I open my Windows machine and just do it in Excel over there. But I've been working with it more. But if you already know how to use Word, like I said, the learning curve to me more is that there's certain things on the Mac that are a little different, and keyboard commands. But once you start doing it, you'll catch on real quick. They're not that much different. To me, I guess the trickiest thing was the interacting thing.
And if you
You have
don't know how to use either one, just pick one and stick with it.
Yes, that's the main thing. Just pick one
Yeah,
and stick with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember how to interact. It's been a while since I've used Word.
I
So
use text edit more than anything because
Me
it's
too.
it's a native Mac app, and I can save and work in a Word DOC or DOCX format,
Right.
or just
okay.
RTF and just keep it for myself. Word will open an
Definitely.
RTF file, but
It will. Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank
Pages
you.
won't. Pages won't. It'll convert it to a Pages format.
Yeah. It wants to convert everything to pages.
Everything to page. 10 years ago, prior to 10 years ago, let me put it that way, because it was in fall of 2014, they came out with a new version of Pages, Numbers, and Keynote.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to all allow you to work in an MS Office format. But for some
Oh.
reason, they changed it.
Hmm.
And because I used to use it, and you could work in and save to
Oh,
DOCX,
wow. Okay.
and it was great. But then they came out with a new one when they came out with Mac OS 10.9, one they called Mavericks. They also came out with new Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, and they would no longer work in and save to a Microsoft Office format. I don't know if there was some licensing thing going on with Microsoft. And so they said, never mind, we're just not going to, allow that. Or they just, more than likely, Mac just decided we're not going to do that. We want you to work in our format. So that's what they did.
No, as long as no, when I'm working with people that have Word, as long as I can, well, if text edit would work,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
As long as there's nothing fancy formatting wise, because there are some
Well,
things you
I
just
mean,
can't do.
well, I mean,
Right.
I have to use a lot of formatting.
Then you
Then
might be
Word might
better
be your
off
best
with Word.
option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Good topic. Thank you. Let's see if we have any other questions. Karen, if you're not available, that's fine. But I know you have been recently, trying to use your Mac for lots of different things, like Teams and Zoom. And you're welcome to ask a question at any time.
Yeah, okay. So I just need a resource for the biggest thing was the other night I was in a Zoom call that was breakouts, and there was a screen that came up and I couldn't hear the meeting at all, and I couldn't, I was under pressure and
Uh
I just
huh.
couldn't make any sense of it. So I just need some guidance for how to learn how to use more of I guess the advanced features of Zoom with the Mac.
So you were put into a breakout room, and or you were trying to create breakout rooms?
No, I just came into a meeting that had breakout rooms in progress.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it
And
was a
you,
cluttered screen. It was, there's a lot of things going on it, and it didn't
mm-hmm.
take me into audio, and so I was trying to figure out how to get the audio going, and I don't know. I just gave up on it and got out of it and got onto the
This is,
iPhone.
this is Brad. I'm thinking a cluttered screen. Are you able to see a little bit? Obviously, that's how come you could tell it was cluttered.
No, I could tell it was cluttered because everywhere I moved to, it was something that, new. So,
Oh, well, I mean, it could be in gallery view where every participant has, even if they don't have their camera on, they're in a little square on the screen. And you can always turn that off with Command Shift W. Go to single view. But one of the things I would recommend is always turn on the participants panel with Command U. And then just your focus will go to it when you open it. Then you're in a list of participants and you stay. That tends to be where I stay.
This is Pete.
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
I was going to say I have a complete list. That's how it's titled, a complete list of Zoom voiceover commands that I'd be
You
happy to
mean
share with Chanelle, and maybe you could pass it on to Karen. I don't know if it would be helpful. I
keyboard
really haven't.
commands or
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
because
A keyboard, they're
sometimes
not voiceover.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah, keyboard commands.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
I know.
if you want to get it to Karen, I'd be happy to send it to you, Chanelle.
Yeah, and Karen, sure, I that'd be great. I know I've seen that before on the Zoom website, but if you have already your own
That's
list,
probably
that's
it. Yeah, okay. It's in an email. I'll send it to you.
sure.
This is Brad. Most of the ones you're going to need can be found in the menu bar
Yeah,
under
Right.
I'm sure.
either um,
Meeting?
meetings or, well, view. There's not much in view. Maybe under Zoom. Well, now they call it Zoom Workplace, but all they did was just kind of change the name of the program. It didn't really
Right.
change much. They just add new features. But the
So this
meetings
is
one has got most of the stuff like gallery view and other stuff in it.
Yeah, go ahead, Herbie.
you were saying, just come back to something you said. So you said that you could not hear anything, and that was once you got in the breakout room, correct?
I don't think I ever actually got put in a breakout room. This is when I just joined the link, and so how do you get yourself connected to audio? Because see, I thought it would do that automatically because in Windows it usually
Oh,
does.
It
You have to
should.
set it.
You have to set it. Yeah, sorry, I'll
yeah,
let one of you talk.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
Brad. I would be open Zoom when you're not in a meeting and go into Zoom settings with command comma. And command comma opens settings for any app pretty much. And what you've got there is a screen with a list of categories on the left-hand side. And when you navigate to the right-hand side is all of the settings for that category. And I would go to audio, and you want to set like your output device. In my case, headphones. What am I listening to? And I think the best thing to do is set it to same as system default, because then it's going to automatically change to whatever your default is. And then it wants your input. What is your microphone? And
Uh,
I check those before I go into a meeting. Now, if you're using the same thing every time, Zoom's going to remember these, but
I'm
I
wondering if
tend I
it's
I tend to check them all the time before, and then once I see that they're always the same and they're always what I want, then I stop worrying about it.
I'm thinking that maybe like you have to tell Zoom that you want it to always join internet audio. I forget what that setting is called, but maybe,
You
you
don't
know,
get that on the Mac. You do on
oh,
the iPhone because you only have internet on the Mac. You don't
right,
have cellular
right.
or telephone. But what
That's
you
right.
do have
Okay.
is, do you want to automatically mute on entry? And so if you say no, well, then you might come into a meeting and like ACB community, you always come in muted because that's how the meeting is set.
Yeah.
But I believe she's talking about the bits chat. Are you, Karen?
Okay.
Because that
no,
does
but
have breakout rooms set up.
yeah, no, I know it will happen wherever I go until I get this fixed. Because yeah,
But not
and
everybody has breakout rooms set up. So
right,
that's when you
no,
said that. I was thinking about
hmm
that.
yeah,
But go into
um,
audio and go through all those settings. And a lot of them you're not going to know what they mean. So just skip them. But you could set, do you go in muted or unmuted? I recommend go in unmuted. And under video, you can set your video and make it set so when you go into a meeting, your video is always turned off. Because if you're like me, most of the meetings I go to are blind people, so nobody's got their camera turned on, and I just always want to know when I go in, my camera's always off. So if I pick my nose or something, I'm kidding, but I just know that the video is off. So it doesn't matter which shirt I'm wearing. So um, sighted people get all bent out of shape if you go into a meeting and your
I
camera's not
know.
on. But then you can always turn it on. There's a keyboard command for that. But I would go through your settings, and when you're not in open Zoom, open the settings. Video and audio are probably the most important. There's a lot of other stuff in there, but video and audio are the two that you want to take a look at.
okay, and I can use this command comma in Teams on the Mac as well to try to sort out the same kinds of things with Teams.
Probably. I've rarely used Teams, but yeah, most apps on the Mac you're going to be able to open settings with command comma. Or if you want to make sure, go to the menu bar, and right next to the little Apple menu on the far left is going to be a menu for whatever app you're in. And usually if you go down that menu, you will see, uh, sometimes they call it preferences. Pretty much everything beginning with Ventura stopped calling it preferences and started calling it settings because Apple decided to make everything like the iOS, iPad OS and call it settings instead of preferences. Um, but all they did was change the name. It's the same thing. And you should find it there, and it should tell you command comma will do it if you ever have any doubts. But yeah, that should do it.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone. I will give this a shot and hopefully I can get it sorted because it was
No
kind of
problem.
disconcerting that it wasn't working.
Yeah, well, we're here to help, and if it happens again, just next time, let us know what exactly happened. Like, if you're not hearing anything, you can always Command Shift A. That's always your command to unmute and mute in Zoom. So, um, good luck. All right, who has our next question? Has anyone used any new apps on the Mac recently or thought about trying any new apps or anything that you've whatever tried to do on your Mac? Positive, negative?
I'm
This is
looking through
Karen.
my app.
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
Just real quick. I was surprised. I don't know if we talked about this, but I was surprised that there aren't as many apps for the Mac as there are for the phone. So when I start wanting to stream some things on the Mac, how easy or difficult is it to get the streaming services, to work in,
This
I
is
guess, through
Herbie.
Safari?
Okay. Go ahead, Herbie.
So, one of the things that I think people forget is that the Mac is first and foremost a computer, not a mobile device. And that matters, and that's why there's not as much apps. And but to answer your question, in most cases, yes, you will use Safari. I don't remember if there's any iOS apps that will work on the M1 Max or not for streaming services, but yeah. But I think that's a mistake that a lot of people, including myself, made in the beginning, is forgetting that the Mac is ultimately still a computer. And yeah, so but yeah, you'll use Safari for most of that type of thing.
And
All
so
right.
just go to the streaming service and log in, and it should
Yep.
be easy to get it going. Okay. I haven't tried it yet, so I will do that. Thank you.
Have you experimented with any particular ones, Herbie and Safari, or have you probably?
I've done Hulu. I've done Disney Plus. I think I tried and failed with Netflix, but that was several years ago. Um, I back when I had the Apple version, I did get Paramount Plus to work in the Apple TV app.
Yeah, I was gonna say you use that a lot.
Yeah, but I no longer they and it's no longer supported, and I canceled the service anyway.
I
So
meant Apple TV you use a lot.
yeah, Apple TV, but that you use in the app anyway.
Right.
But
This is Brad. I've used
yep.
HBO Max or Max, whatever they call it nowadays, and it worked very well. And it had audio description. And I
Great.
find that if I sit there and watch something for a long time, um, my screen may go to sleep. So it's a good idea every so often to press the control key because that's pretty benign. It won't do anything. Or if you've got a mouse or trackpad, put your finger on it and move it. Just something to let the computer know you're still there. Or else, I've done Amazon Prime Video and same thing. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I'm watching a movie, I'm listening to it. I'm not really even looking at the screen because I see a little bit, but not well enough to see anything. So I'm listening and I have to let it know from time to time that I'm still there.
All right. Yep.
And I'm told that all the keyboard commands will work with YouTube through Safari.
Yes, as long as you don't have your
Yeah.
quick nav on.
Yeah. Keep quick nav off.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you.
Great.
YouTube
We
works really well with Safari, and you can use heading navigation to find a list of things it suggests and all kinds of stuff. It's very nice.
Yeah, I need to get more confident using. I know there are lots of headings. Sometimes it's hard to figure out where your search results because they're kind of buried in with all the suggestions. But I need to just use YouTube more, and then I'd be more confident with it. But yeah, I do definitely like how all the this everything is a heading.
Or a link. But yeah.
Yeah, I find this is Pete. I find myself via right arrowing forever in YouTube, just trying to find what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Headings can be your friend.
Yes.
Definitely. That is one advantage of Quick Nav is you can turn it on, and then if you know that something's at heading level 2, you can just type the number 2. But you can also use the web rotor VOU, and you go to headings, and then you can also type the number 2 or 3, and you'll get all the headings at that level as well. So you don't have to have Quick Nav on, but sometimes it can be convenient for going to a heading at a specific level. All right. Does anyone have another question?
Oh, this is Dan.
This is her. Oh, go ahead,
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, you guys got me excited here about YouTube. Okay, on the iPhone on YouTube, there's always those tabs on the bottom of the screen. I think there's 5 of them, and that's real handy. But I've never been able to on the Mac on YouTube. I've never been able to find those 5 tabs. So my question is, how do I find the regular 5 tabs that are always on the bottom?
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
So, two things with the YouTube. First of all, they're going to be at the top, not the bottom. And you actually have to get them to show the first time. And
how do you do that?
So, actually, no, now they automatically do show up, so duh. So you should see them after like the notifications button. You should see like your home, all that, right from the main page.
I'm kind of lost there, Herbie. So, what do I have to hit notifications? Hit the notification
No,
button.
you just via right past notifications, and you should see them. You just keep VO writing. You'll see like an account in your menu pop up. Just keep VO writing, and you'll see the various tabs that you see on the bottom of the app on the phone.
Okay, so as soon as I open YouTube, I just VO right, and eventually I'll hit the tabs.
Yep.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Are they links, Herbie, or are they actual?
They're links.
No, they're tabs.
Oh.
But I think they are links when you click on them, because I think when you're navigating with VO left right arrow, I don't think it tells you you're on a tab. I think it tells you what it is, but I believe if you use your web router and go to links, those items show up as links in the web router under links.
Let's see if they do.
Check it out and see, because I think they are links, but I know what you mean. Visually, I believe they look like tabs, and it is the same things that you find at the bottom of the YouTube app.
I'm not.
No? Okay.
No.
And we're talking about youtube.com, right? It's a website and there's no
Yes.
app. Right.
Yes. Because there's no app for
now, like when you get in, when you select the tab, you're going to see links within the tab.
Mm-hmm.
Those definitely do, but the tabs themselves don't. Though,
do they have menus?
You could use the item chooser to find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they have menus that show up if you hover over them with a mouse? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think so.
What are the tab names supposed to be?
Yeah, what are they?
So you've got home, shorts, subscriptions.
I have them as
the
links.
tab.
Yeah. Okay, I have them as links. If I go to the
And then like my home tab has other tabs like all, music,
Okay, maybe.
news.
Wow, I just got an email from Brad Snyder.
You know what? Oh yeah, I told you,
Just like
eight
it was
o'clock.
scheduled at 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. See?
Magic.
But I can
Wow.
Yeah.
definitely find
Yeah.
it with the item chooser. That definitely works.
Weird.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So item chooser, and then they show up as
Hmm.
links. And
For Chanel, they're showing up as links. For me, they show up as tabs. So
hmm. But you got to bring up the item chooser first, right?
if you want to use that way to find them, yes. And then you
Okay.
just type in the tab name that you want.
Yep. Yeah, item chooser is VOI, and it's so great when there's not like 'cause we don't have tabs in the web rotor, for instance. So I find, yeah, that's I have to do a lot of things actually on the Zoom.us website on my Mac, and on there the item chooser is my friend because there's like meetings is a menu. It's not a link, it's just called a menu. Webinars menu, recordings menu. So I go into my item chooser, type in the first few letters REC, MEE, WEB, whatever, and then I get right to it. You press enter or VO space to go to the item, and then you press VO space or enter again to activate the item. So, item chooser is really a good thing.
Okay. Thank you. I'll give it a try.
Yeah, great question. And I believe, Herbie, you were going to ask something or say something before Dan spoke up. And you muted yourself, Herbie. Now
Is
you're
there a way
unmuted.
to add somebody that sends you an email message to your contacts?
Oh, like, okay. Um, can you go into the context menu on the message itself or
I
in the
tried that.
message? Oh, interesting. All right. Does anybody know about adding someone that emails you into your contacts?
Okay, I did find it. It was okay. It doesn't show up in the context menu. It shows up in the actual menu itself. Okay, interesting.
In the pull down menu.
Yeah, so I had to do
You
VOM
said action
and
menu or
no,
what?
so the regular menu, the VOM.
Okay.
He said actual menu. Is what I thought he said.
Yeah,
So which menu? Message.
yeah. So you go down to message, but what I don't know is okay. So it says add some to contacts, but it doesn't bring up the contact screen when I do that. Interesting. So did it add them, or did it add them to like Gmail contacts? Ooh.
No, wouldn't have done that, I don't think.
Let's see if I have any duplications in here then.
There it is. Add center to contacts. Yeah,
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything.
Then it add them to the your contacts.
Well, I mean,
You have to go to your contacts and see if it
I
added
guess
them.
you do.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, actually did it. Okay.
All right.
Okay, it actually does work. Okay.
All right.
So
well,
that was one of the situation where the context menu did not, failed me, and I had to use the actual menu itself.
well, that's why we teach the menu bar because there's a lot of things
Exactly.
that you can.
It is interesting that it's not in the shortcut menu. That would be very useful.
It would,
Yeah.
because you can do things like move, copy.
Yeah.
You can block them. So yeah, that is interesting that it's not there. So there you go.
Oh, I see. Yep. All right. Well, there we go. Okay.
Now messages, I will tell you, if you want to add somebody to your contact from there, you just do Command I, which brings up the info menu. and which is the equivalent on the phone of, like, when you double tap like their name or phone number at the top.
Right.
So that's how you do that on messages on the Mac. That's pretty straightforward. But yeah, so yeah, I had to find it the long way around in Mail. So if somebody finds a shorter way, be curious to know. But
Actually, you can. That's another thing I've been using on my Mac lately. Um, so you can create keyboard commands for menu items, as long as they don't have like the dot 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 or a submenu. So you could go into system settings, go to keyboard, go to shortcuts. You'd have to find in that shortcuts tables, I think it's called application shortcuts. Then you'd have to go to the end, to the add button. You would need to, then there'd be a little dialog, or actually you'd be in the table, and the first thing in the table is the name of the menu. And so what I do, it used to let me do, let's say, VO Shift C when I was looking at the menu, to copy that last spoken text to the clipboard. And then I would do Command V. Well, lately my Command V is interpreted as the keyboard command. So what I do is I go into text edit and do Command V to paste what I did, what the result of VO Shift C, and then I'll just review the spelling, make sure it's as I think it is, because you have to have the exact menu name. And then you go back into your keyboard shortcuts, you type in the menu name. So in this case would be Add Sender to Contacts, and then you would assign a keyboard command, and you'd want to make sure the other item in the table for each, or the other option, whatever, is whether that command is applied globally or in a particular app. And so you'd want to choose the Mail app. Might need to do a demo of this at some point. I recently created keyboard shortcuts for some items in system settings. Like, we can go to, when we're in system set, you can either access categories in system settings via the dock. You go to system settings and then you do your context menu. You don't press enter on system settings. You do VO Shift M and you get a nice list of categories. Or if system settings is actually open and you want to go to another category, you can go to the view menu and you can see the whole list of 40-some things there as well. But if, like me, you go to some frequently, for instance, I'm constantly having to double check some complicated things with the way we do audio. Making sure the system voice is set at 0% because there are still some alerts that come through. Anyway, having to do that every time. I've created keyboard shortcuts for accessibility and for sound. So when system settings is open, and I want to switch from one to the other, I could just use the appropriate keyboard shortcut. So you can create your own keyboard shortcuts for menu items on the Mac, and it's a really great feature. In addition to using, of course, our VO keyboard commander for opening apps on the Mac or doing other things. So there you go. That's
I have
another
a
way.
question. Brad.
Sure.
Okay,
ahead,
since
Brad.
you're talking about creating shortcuts, the Apple Magic Bluetooth extended keyboard
Yeah.
has F keys
Right.
above the 6-pack and
Oh,
above the number
yeah.
pad. You have above the
You
6-pack, you
do.
have F13,
Right.
14, 15, and above the numpad area, you
Oh,
have
yeah.
16, 17, 18, 19.
Yep.
And they don't do anything. I think when you press
Right.
one of them, it says screen brightness, whatever it is, but it doesn't seem to change it to them. Anyway, how do you assign things to those?
That's a great question. I'm going to have to go try that.
Yeah,
Oh.
me too. I need to, because I've been sitting here passively thinking about that, and I have never found it in shortcuts, like you said. Not all Macs have that. Only if you're using extended Magic Bluetooth keyboard.
Right.
Now, the other day in another the Tuesday Mac mini buzz, whatever we call the Tuesday Mac thing, Sri was talking about a keyboard pad, numpad for his MacBook Air. He wanted just to know. So I went and looked one up on Amazon the next day. And I found one from Satigy. Now I read about Satigy and Apple Insider and 9 to 5 Mac. They make keyboards. And I found one and I bought it. It was not on Prime Day, but I bought it and I sent Sri a link to it. I don't know if he got it, but I bought it. I think it was $10 off or something. So it was like $30, $34. But it came with a number pad and arrow keys and the 6-pack. And sure enough, above the 6-pack was F13, 14, 15.
Oh, wow.
It had 4 keys above the number pad, but they were assigned to something like one was escape. I can't remember what the other 3 were, but they weren't F16, 17, 18, 19. But again, they were, and when you turned on keyboard help, excuse me, VOK, and pressed them, they did say F13, F14, F15. So
weird.
that would give you those on your MacBook Pro or Air without the extended Bluetooth keyboard, which I have one that I sometimes use on my MacBook Pro. I'll
So
stick
you
it in my
said that
suitcase
keyboard
when I
was
travel.
Satigy? Is that a
Yeah.
regular, it's not Bluetooth or?
It is Bluetooth. And
Okay.
actually, the shape of it,
Uh-huh.
it's shaped and it feels just like the edges and everything on a Magic Bluetooth, either the
Wow.
short one or the extended one.
Okay.
And so I bought one. I just thought that'd be cool to have when I travel because I hate entering numbers on the number row. If I've got to enter a
Okay.
phone number or something, I'm slow at it. Yeah, I'm slow. I'm slow at it. I can do it,
So
but I don't
it's
like
just
it.
a numpad or it's a full keyboard?
It is just a number pad
Oh,
with
just a number
the
pad.
extended
Okay.
keys. It has to the
Oh, I
left of the
see.
number pad is arrow keys, inverted T arrow keys. Above them are the 6-pack, but it's actually 9 keys, just like on the extended Apple Magic Bluetooth keyboard. You know, the 9 keys that are above the arrow keys. The traditional 6-pack. Now, I don't know what the key that would be insert on that might be a function key because it says something weird when I press it. But on the extended Magic Bluetooth, it's the FN key. I have to see if that's another FN key. I don't need one because I got one on the regular keyboard. But it says something strange when you push it, and maybe that's the coding for.
Okay.
I'm going to try that, see if that's what it does. Oh, hell, I got it sitting right here. Let me turn it on. But yes, it's a Bluetooth. It does have USB-C to charge it. And I am glad I read the instructions because it said you cannot charge it with a USB-C to USB-C. It says it has to be
okay.
USB-C to USB-A, which is weird. I don't know why. But let me see what
And
happens.
how do you
if
spell
I-
the name of it? What you
Well,
said?
I don't know. I'll send you the
Okay.
thing. Satigy, SATA, I don't know. But VoiceOver read it. I've always whenever I read Apple Insider, they frequently feature products or write a review on keyboards. And I have heard this company's name before. They make
Okay.
keyboards. So, yeah.
Okay. Great.
Let's see. What will this? Oh, wow. Oh, no.
All
I
right.
just pushed it and it did something weird.
Uh-oh.
It opened. Wow. Oh, no. I don't know what it's doing. It opened something in Zoom. I don't know.
Okay.
It was weird. It did something. Well, I'm afraid now to just start pushing keys. Well, I don't know what I've opened here. But I pushed it to see if it would be the FN key. And if it was, it shouldn't have done anything. But it opened
Right.
something in Zoom, and it's saying something about markup. So what would there have been in
Oh.
Zoom?
A
I
message chat, maybe?
Could
no, I don't
be.
think we have the chat enabled in
Let's
iBug.
see. No, we don't. No, I don't know what it did.
All
No.
right.
Well, it's certainly on top of my regular Zoom meetings window.
Ooh, okay, so you can't like
Oh
command
no, I
W.
can hear it. I hear the participants list, but I see enough to see that this thing, whatever it is on top of it. So let's see if it is. Oh, it's a system dialogue. There you go.
Yeah. Those
Oh,
darn
it says
system
share your
dialogues.
screenshot using Dropbox. So it's opened something
Oh,
weird
okay.
there. So let's.
Interesting.
So it seems like it opened a Dropbox properties thing. No. It's like it's something in Zoom. There. Oh, I navigated to no thanks and it went away.
There you go.
So I don't know what
All
it
right.
was.
I think that's a way of marking up things that are being shared. The
I
participants.
think it is.
Oh,
You're right.
that could
So
be.
somebody can share a screen, and then the participants can sort of mark it up or underline
Could
something.
that have been whiteboard?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the whiteboard.
Well, I know whiteboard's not accessible, so I've never used it.
Yeah, no.
Interesting. Well, now we know that key is something I don't want to mess with because it's going to cause. Well, that was actually, wait a minute. Yes, that was where the insert would be on a regular window above the forward delete. So
Right.
Okay.
if I push turn keyboard help on and I push the delete, it says forward delete, just like it does. Yep, it says forward delete. And when I press that key, it says Command Shift Number. So I guess number for the number 3 on the number row. Oh, let's go
Yeah.
press that normally and see what it does. Command
All right.
Shift. Yeah, I don't know what it is, so I don't know why they've given. Sure enough, I pressed Command Shift and number row 3, and it did the same thing. And it said markup. It made a little sound I've not heard before and said number. So anyway,
Okay.
yeah. So now I'm doing Command Tab, and it won't go to it.
Probably have to do the system dialogues again. So if you
I do
ever
not
think,
have a system dialogue now. So anyway,
oh,
I dismissed it. Said
yeah,
whatever. But anyway,
that's a
so
whole
those are
lesson
weird.
in itself is how to dismiss things that pop up on the Mac.
That is a good lesson. Thank you. I can use that sometime.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we were talking about you basically so on the Mac, one way to bring up a list of running applications is by holding down your VO keys and then pressing the F1 twice. Hopefully, one of the things that Brad and I always do in the very beginning when getting a new computer is making sure that the function keys behave like function keys. You have to change that setting in system settings and keyboard and shortcuts and then function
Shortcuts
keys.
now.
It's buried.
Yes, they
So
moved it. It used to
they
be a nice,
did.
simple checkbox in
I
keyboard
know.
preferences, and I think they changed that in Ventura, if I'm not
They
mistaken. Maybe,
did. Yeah.
yeah, and it took me a while to find it.
I know. It was buried. So yeah, you hopefully, but if you haven't changed that, then you'd have to hold down the FN key and press the F1 or even the number 1 on your number row.
No,
If you're
yeah,
holding
you're
down
right.
the VO
Yeah,
keys
VO, yeah,
with VO. Yeah.
yeah, VOFN number row 1 twice,
Yep.
which is a series of keyboard commands they introduced with the Touch Bar Max, so that
Right.
voiceover users could do voiceover things with F keys, since they
Yep.
took F keys away because
And now
what
thankfully
was
they've brought them back.
what was Phil Schiller said when they introduced the touch bar? Nobody uses F keys anyway. I don't think so, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they brought them back, thankfully.
Indeed, thankfully. Does anyone have a question? We've been blabbing on here, but does anyone
Gail.
have a question? Yeah, go ahead, Gail.
All right. Well, I have a question because I have a keyboard. Forgot what kind it is. But okay, it does not have the touch. Oh, no, not the touch bar. That's not what I was going to say. It does. It doesn't have the numpad. But I want to ask, um, the Apple keyboards with a numpad. How for those of you that have that, how often do you use that numpad on the right? I guess
Always.
and what kinds of things do you use it for?
Well, I use it to enter numbers. Me, I just prefer entering numbers. But since you brought it up, one of your commanders is similar to the keyboard commander, is the numpad commander. And you can set all kinds of voiceover actions to do when you turn the numpad commander on. And there's lots of them because you can combine the numpad. Well, a 0 is a modifier key, so it's control, option, command, and I believe the shift key. Is that correct, Chanelle?
Yeah.
And the shift key. So that gives you 5, count them, 5 modifiers. So you have 1 through 9. Does it also use the level above that?
Oh yeah, it uses
Okay.
the and it uses the period as the escape. It uses the
Yes.
plus, the minus, the enter, the
And if you add one of these modifiers, you then can, each one of those can do something different. So that's, what about the row above the 7, 8, 9? Can you, the one that's
yes.
the clear,
Yep. Oh yeah, because that's the
flash.
clear
Go
is
to, go
yep.
to dock.
yeah, and you
Yep.
can set those. So that gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think you can do the minus, the plus, not the enter though, right?
Yeah, no, the enter works.
You do as an enter key, but you can't program it to be something,
Oh,
can
no,
you?
you can. You can.
Oh, really? So
Because
how many
yeah.
keys is that? This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I've lost track, but that's a bunch.
Oh, there's a lot.
And then you multiply that times 5 because there's 5 modifiers. No, the 0 is not one. The 0 is a modifier. So
Yes, it is.
period, enter. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17
Yep.
keys times 5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's quite, I don't know how many you got on the keyboard for keyboard commander. Maybe it's about the same, but it's a way that you can then program things in there. So anyhow, plus you get.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, plus you get the home and page up, page down. Of course, you have those on your laptop keyboard by holding down the FN key. It changes the arrow keys to be home and page up and page down. But
right.
But yes, I find it very interesting. I like typing on it better. If I have to really do some typing, I would prefer to type on my Magic Extended Bluetooth keyboard, which is why I have one and I will take it with me when I travel and take my MacBook Pro. If I'm going to be doing, email and stuff and typing a lot, I will use it. But if I'm just doing something short and sweet, I'm on Zoom, I'm not really typing anything, I will just do my regular keyboard. But I can also do it on the Magic Bluetooth. It's just,
Yeah.
So
I agree. Mine, what?
No, I was going to say, if I'm going out of town for just a couple of days, I won't bring it with me. But if I'm going out of town for several days or a week, I certainly took it with me when I went to convention because I was there for way too long.
Yeah,
But
mine always comes with me when I
yeah.
go even to Washington. I won't bring both computers, but I will bring the one computer with the Magic Keyboard
Hmm.
and my okay, I was an efficient Mac user, but then I started using the numpad and numpad commander and I
Yeah.
became a whole lot more
Oh,
efficient
yeah.
Mac user.
Even the
So,
default settings on the numpad commander are dynamite.
they
Hmm.
are total.
Huge time savers. Interacting on interacting.
Oh, I know. It
Uh,
doesn't hurt. It's so much easier. My left
yeah,
hand just hates holding. I can
yeah,
hold down the VO keys if I need to. I'm not saying
sure.
oh I can't do it, but
Yeah,
I it's so much more comfortable to use my numpad to do all that stuff.
sure.
So,
And the
With
keyboard
the
is so thin, you could put it in your
mhm.
suitcase and it really takes up no room.
Exactly. Yep.
Is
And it's the
there,
same keyboard I use on my desktop Mac Studio, so I'm already used to
Oh,
it.
there you go. Yeah. Do you have a separate one for that? Because these keyboards only pair with one
One
thing at
I'm
a
device,
not
yeah.
sure,
time.
but I
Yeah.
think Gail was trying to say
Yeah, go
something.
Sorry. Go
ahead,
ahead,
Gail.
Gail.
Yeah, Gail.
is there, okay, is there one, okay, one, is it one magic
Now,
keyboard?
there are two models. Actually, there's a total of four. There are two sizes. There's a small one, which is the same as your keyboard on your laptop, your MacBook Air or Pro. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Same layout. Keys are actually slightly smaller because it's compact. Then there's the Magic Extended Bluetooth keyboard. That's the one that has the number pad and the extended keys. Now, they sell both of these models, both with and without a Touch ID sensor. So on my desktop Mac Studio, I bought the one that has the Touch ID sensor because that's the only keyboard. On my MacBook Pro, I bought the less expensive model. Well, actually, when I bought it, they didn't have Touch ID sensors yet on the Magic Bluetooth keyboards. But I don't need a Touch ID sensor on the Magic Bluetooth keyboard because I have a MacBook Pro and it has a Touch ID sensor on it.
Do
So
they
if I
both
need
have a
that, I
wired
just
connection, a USB or USB-C connection as well?
no.
Yes.
It is Thunder. It is a
Or
Thunderbolt connection.
But it is
oh,
But
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
wired connection is what I'm
no,
thinking about.
when you connect it to your computer, you are still on Bluetooth. It is just always connected to charge.
Do you get the
It is,
latency of Bluetooth?
I don't find any noticeable
No.
latency.
Because
No.
with editing audio, I can't deal
You
with the latency.
might, but even when you're connected with a wire, check your Bluetooth. It's still in there. It's a Bluetooth
Hmm.
device.
Right.
It is only connected for charging. Now, the first time you connect it, you can connect it to um, your Mac Pro, um, MacBook Pro, Air, Mac Mini, Mac Studio, whatever,
Hmm.
and it will pair it automatically for you through the wire. But
Hmm.
it is still connected through Bluetooth. It's just you got the wire always on it. So it's charging. Now, I don't know what the long term effect of that is. I don't have mine set up that way just because it's one less wire. But I would think, I don't know what the intelligence is inside this device, but it's always said it's not real good to keep these things, connected all the time. I think it may, I don't know if it shortens the lifespan of the keyboard or not.
So
But
this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
I mean, I keep my keyboard connected a lot, and I've not noticed any difference when I have it unplugged. I definitely will say that I've noticed a bit more of an improvement with the Bluetooth experience with the Mac Mini. That's an M1 compared to the previous one, old Intel Mac.
Right, right.
But no, Pete, you won't really notice a difference with editing if you're close, especially if you're close to the computer. Now, if you go farther
across
away
the
from the
room,
computer,
yeah.
then
Uh-huh.
you are going to start to notice some latency. But
And if the charge is up pretty high too, I find it goes.
yeah, but
My
overall, you'll
my Mac
find that.
Studio is on 24 hours a day, but I find I don't have to charge the thing except every 3 or 4 weeks. I may get a notice that I'll check it, but I'll
Do
get a
you turn
notice
it
if it's down
off?
below 20.
Do you turn the switch off if you're not using it?
I never do. I never
Oh,
remember.
I always do. Okay.
I probably should. And I also have a magic trackpad. I find that its charge doesn't go down quite as fast as the keyboard. But I never remember to. I probably should, but I don't. I do
Yeah,
when I'm
because
dusting. I'll turn it off and move it off the desk and set it aside. And the same thing with the trackpad so I don't accidentally bump it. And then I
yeah.
wipe the desk down whenever I remember.
Well, we are out of time, everyone. Thanks for coming, and don't forget to join us for some events later this week. Our it's iBug's Life on Thursday from 7 to 9. iBug Night at the Virtual Movies beginning at 7:15 on Friday. iBug Apple Workshop on Saturday from 2 to 4. And stay tuned to our special iBug's Got Talent Night on August 3rd.
Thank
That'll be
you. A
great.
week from Saturday. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait from Saturday.
A
Okay,
week
well,
from
thanks.
Saturday.
A week from Saturday, and what time is that going to be at?
From
8?
8 until
8
10
p.m. Central.
Central. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
Maybe
All right.
it might go longer than 10 because we've got so
Okay.
many
Oh,
entries.
that sounds fantastic. Okay,
But
well,
our
thanks.
own
Great.
Herbie Allen will
Thanks.
be performing, as
Uh,
will Rosetta.
Yeah.
Rosetta.
Awesome.
Rosetta's not with us anymore, it looks like.
Yeah, you need to listen to Herbie because you won't believe it unless you hear it for
Yeah.
yourself.
Oh
And this
no,
is
I'm not.
really
I won't.
Trust
one of
I
my
me.
won't
favorite
miss it.
tunes, too, Herbie.
I won't miss it.
Yeah.
All right.
Put
Well,
it on the calendar. Yeah.
thanks, everyone. Have a great night, and thanks for being here.
Thank you
Thanks so
very
Thank you,
much.
much.
Chanel.
Nice.
Well done.
Bye.
And
See you
thanks so
guys
much.
later. Yep.
Bye.
Bye bye.